seminar is regarding how to become a pilot. Okay, in India, it's a very basic query which is generally floating around with a lot of people as to how to go about it. So we are just going to follow up our PDF, which you see on your screen. And at the end of it, which is just for 19 pages, it'll be a quick, short, interactive session. So whoever has any questions, please feel free to ask us. Okay. So guys, we are from Airship Aviation Academy. We are mainly based out of Delhi. One of our USPs, okay, in fact, we are the only ones currently which are heavily invested, and we try and publicize the fact that none of you actually has to come to Delhi or to go to any other city, increase your expenses, and then take classes, while you can do the same thing sitting at the comfort of your home through the online mode. Okay, so the CPL classes here at Airship are all going to be online, because there is really no need for anyone to come to a physical class. Okay, that's a perception which has been created over the last 20 years, that every second guy ends up being either in Rampal Chowk or would go to some other major city, have some expenses, go physically to the classes. And when you go to the classes, what you end up getting is the material, the books are shared with you, and the instructor is gonna be using the blackboard to explain the concepts. So when you can do the same things online, you have a whiteboard on applications like Zoom and all. You can you can follow the instructor while doing the numericals, while clearing the concepts. And if the book, instead of the books, the PDFs can be shared with you. Okay, if the PDFs can be shared with you, then there's no real need for you to increase your expenses and come to a city. So that is why we prefer online mode. All right. So what is here? How do you become a pilot in India? Okay, so let's get started. Today we're gonna quickly cover the introduction and overview of the system, which is the whole requirement. Then thereafter, key objectives of this session: academic and eligibility requirements, fitness considerations. This is basically your medical requirements. We have two types of medicals. The first one is class 2, and the second one is class 1. DGCA written examinations, medical assessments, DGCA computer number applications, sequence of initial steps, post-flight training steps, beyond the CPL, what is the final conclusion, and contact information and further resources. All right. So what do? We are one of the India's top online aviation academy. We stress on the fact that we are only providing online classes. There is no offline facility over here because it's really not needed. You can really save thousands of your rupees just by not visiting any offline classes. Okay, so we are the only India's only top online aviation academy. When searching for the best aviation training institute, we offer, apart from CPL classes, what we are also offering are your A320, the Boeing 737. These are two of your medium haul aircrafts, which are extensively used by airlines like Indigo and Air India. That A320 is used by Indigo and Air India, and the Boeing 737 are extensively used by airlines like Akasa and Air India Express. I'm sure you would have heard these names, very frequent, familiar names. We also provide mock test series. We have multiple mock test series with thousands of questions. Okay. Compass, it is one of the steps for selection towards, let's say, Indigo's cadet pilot program. We have group discussion classes, and we have personal interviews and HR classes, all conducted online with more than 95% of success rate from the last 1 year. Okay. So towards the goal for the webinar today, that whatever questions that you have, please feel free, ask me at the end and to correct the misinformation. Key objectives: that once you go back, you need to have a clarity of thought as to what is expected out of you. Efficiency: how would you be going around or going about having, navigating the journey of CPL with efficiency and with a lot more confidence. So there you go. So the beginning, all our friends who are basically in class 12th. So primarily, what is expected out of all of us here is class 12 completion. You must have passed 12th grade or equivalent from a recognized board. Okay, so it could be a state board, it could be CBSE, but it has to be a board. It cannot be a religious school. All right, so any state board, doesn't matter. You are eligible. What are the subjects? Essential subjects are physics, maths, English are mandatory. okay, to ensure you have the required passing marks as per DGCA norms. So here, a lot of people have this confusion, or they are under a wrong, I would say, impression that you need to be from a science background. Okay, so to be honest, that is actually not the case. You do not need to be from the science background. You can be from a commerce background or even from an arts background and still be a pilot. There is no limitation, there is no restriction. But the only condition is you need to have physics, maths, and English. Now, in commerce and arts, you don't have physics as a subject by default. Okay, all of us are aware of that. So, what is the way of having a physics subject? Then you will have to apply for the physics 12th class exam through Open School. Okay, so there's National Institute of Open School. You can fill in the application. You can sit for the exam. You can prepare for the exam. I understand it's not going to be easy because a person with 2 years or 3 years of commerce and arts studies now will have to suddenly study a subject which is completely different from what he has seen in the last 2 years. So naturally, one will have to take a lot many tuitions or will go to a particular tuition, understand the concept of physics, and then eventually attempt the exam and clear it. Okay. So please get this thing absolutely clear that even if you are not a science student, you can still be a pilot. You have to clear physics, maths, and English. So whatever subject you did not have in your class 12, please clear that subject using NIOS, National Institute of Open School. Okay. Then, uh, importance of immediate start. See, understandably, when you're in your class 12, we got a couple of students over here. You're in class 12, so I'm quite sure you must be feeling the, that pinch of pressure of being in class 12. So that is exactly why it is suggested that you are under a right amount of stress. You are in that momentum of studying. You are in that momentum and in that habit of opening your books and studying. So the moment you clear your class 12th, okay, without wasting time, it is of paramount importance and it is of absolutely a well-timed decision it would be for you to enter CPL. You should not be having a situation where you finished your class 12, then you've had many months or many years of gap unless you had a job, you were you were successful in some other field of life, like two of our colleagues over here, then that is an exception. If you're only going to be sitting at home doing nothing and only wondering, should I be starting now, should I be starting 6 months later or 1 year later, that time is simply a time lost for you. Okay, so if you're absolutely sure that this is the field that you have to enter, the time for you begins the moment you finish your board exams. Okay, so that is what we want to stress over here. uh, these are just benefits that why to start after 12, because you got momentum and discipline. You're already in the habit of studying rigorously due to recent exams. So continuing immediately helps maintain discipline, reduced gap, fewer chances of forgetting fundamental concepts of physics. This is primarily for those who already had physics and maths. For those people who do not have physics and maths, they will have to, after your primary 12th class, then they will have to now concentrate on clearing these subjects through open school. Okay, so if you have to clear those subjects, then please concentrate on those subjects and clear it. What is the second important requirement? Your fitness consideration. Okay, you must be physically and mentally fit to meet DGCA's medical standards. Now, what are DGCA's medical standards? They are available on DGCA's website. What is DGCA? This is Directorate General of Civil Aviation. This is the nodal agency, or I would say the more precise term is the regulator for the safety and the conduct of civil aviation. This is a regulator which drafts the rules as to how the civil aviation would be conducted, in which environment, what are the checks and balances that need to be in place. So that, in short, is called DGCA. Okay, so if you go onto the website, that is one of the websites that you will be referring to or would be going on to for the next 30 to 40 years of your life. Okay, there are different portals, there are different circulars, there are different notices which keep coming. So this is one website that we keep referring to even, I mean, I keep referring to even today. It's like once a week affair anyways. Okay. So DGCA, under a certain tab, they have the prescribed medical standards age-wise and examination-wise. So if someone was just starting with their CPL aviation career today, what are the medical prescription, medical standards expected of him, let's say in a class 2 medical, and then what are the standards expected in a class 1 medical, and then after every year, and then after a particular age, after the age of 30, then it becomes after every 5 years. After every 5 year, you have a special medical. Every year you have a routine medical, but after every 5 years, you have special medicals. So there are certain tests which are those tests will always keep increasing as your age increases. So all these guidelines are all mentioned on the DGC website. If you're unsure about the health, consult a DGCA approved medical examiner beforehand. Okay. So what they're trying to say, very important. A lot of people, what they do is, under the influence of, I would say, aviation excitement, they kind of misjudge their decision by going for flying first. All right. So let's say they decided to go outside of India and do their flying training. Now, when you go outside of India for your flying training, they are really not interested in your Indian medical certificate. Okay. They conduct their own medical and then they'll permit you to fly. And trust you me, the medical standards of most of the countries outside India, as far as the medical standards are concerned, I'm not talking about medical facilities, okay? The medical standards of all the other countries outside of India, they are way too liberal. They are way too easy. Okay. Indian medical standards are absolutely top notch. They are absolutely in depth, to the core. And at times it does tend to get a bit irritating, but the failure rate in Indian medicals is relatively much higher as compared to it is abroad. So what happens is, let's say there is a person X who, under the influence of excitement, right after class 12th, instead of clearing their exams first, decided to go outside, spent 20 to 30 lakhs rupees on flying, thinking that once he or she comes back to India, they'll be picking up a job in some airline. They come back to India. Now, after coming back to India, because now you're back in India, you have to fulfill all the requirements of Indian aviation, which includes your medical as well. So now, when they go for their class 2, class 1, they have a computer number, they sit in the exams, they'll be able to clear the exams. They've already done their flying, spending 30 lakhs. Now, something comes up, let's say something as minor as color blindness. Okay, let's say if that is detected in your class 1 medical. Now, color blindness is a test which is not conducted in US. It is not conducted in Canada or New Zealand or Australia. They do not check you for color blindness. Okay, so you can still be a pilot over there with this seemingly minor medical issue of color blindness. But in India, you cannot. So now imagine you spent 30 lakhs of your rupees, you've come back, and then now it's because it's mandatory for you to do Indian medical. You go for your Indian medical, you have cleared all your tests fantastically. Your BMI is in range, your audio visual tests are fantastic. Your audiometry is flawless. You don't have any ENT issue, etc., etc. And all of a sudden, in one of the most minor things, color blindness, that is detected. Imagine your 30 lakhs money gone down the drain. You are given a permanently unfit certificate that you can never be a pilot in India. Why? Because you are colorblind. You're not blind. You can see everything, but there's just one particular pigmentation or pigment of color which you cannot identify from its surroundings, and hence you cannot become a pilot. So it is absolutely important that please do your flying later. We'll be talking about that in detail later. But here, what I'm trying to say is, if you're unsure of your health, please consult a DGC approved medical examiner before you start your journey. Because if there is anything wrong with you, unfortunately, be it minor or major, you would want to know about it beforehand, not after spending 30 lakhs. That's the moral of the story. Okay. So what do? DGCA written examinations. So start your exam preparation immediately right after 12. We already spoken about it. Core DGCA subjects. Okay. For some of you, these names would be, for some of you, this would be the first time you'll be seeing these names. What are core DGCA subjects? So there are primarily three core DGCA subjects. The one that you see on your screen. First one is air navigation. This is all regarding how do you navigate an aircraft. Okay. What are the different ways of navigating an aircraft? What are the formulas of which we use to calculate speed, distance, time, and many other associated things. All right. Second is aviation meteorology. What do you understand by meteorology? Meteorology is basically everything related to weather. Because you're talking about flying, because you're talking about planes, meteorology is practically everything related to weather. Clouds, winds, water, fog, your volcanic ashes, your high wave, high tide, low tide, etc., mountain breeze, what everything under the sun that you can think of pertaining to weather that comes under aviation meteorology. Third one is regulation. Regulation is just like you have regulation for any other thing. If you're in a school, there are a set of regulations, rules, and regulations which you're supposed to follow. If you're in college, we do the same. So same as the logic over here. Aircraft, they all fly under a certain set of regulations. Like you have traffic violations, you have air violations also. Okay. So broadly, there are three subjects. Air navigation, in short, we call it NAV. Okay. Aviation meteorology, in short, we call it MET. And air regulations, in short, we call it regs. Now, if you have decided to do your flying outside of India, okay, only your flying training, if you've decided that I'm going to go for my flying training, let's say to US, after your flying training, you will come back to India and then you will process your license. You will send it to DGCA for the issuance of a commercial pilot license. If that is the case, if you want to go outside of India to do your flying, then you only need to give three exams in India, which is NAV, metrology, and regulation. However, if you have decided to do your flying training in India, let's say you choose to go to Patiala or somewhere in Madhya Pradesh or Gondia or some flying school in Kerala or Tamil Nadu or Andhra or wherever, where to go is your decision. But if you have decided to do your flying training from India, then in addition to these three subjects, you will have to clear two more subjects. Okay. One is one is technical general. Okay. And the other one is technical specific. So there are two technical exams. So technical general is all about your Bernoulli's theorem and your general things pertaining to aviation. Okay. Different types of engines, different types of wings, and your logic of physics, your Bernoulli's theorem, and many others. Okay, so technical general is one subject, and technical specific. Why is it called specific? Because that exam is going to be pertaining to the aircraft on which you will be doing your flying training. So let's say if you've decided to do your flying training on a Cessna 152, you will be giving a technical specific exam of a Cessna 152, in which they will only be asking you questions regarding Cessna 152. Okay. So that's a difference. If you fly outside of India, you have to give three exams. If you fly in India, then you'll have to give five exams. The nature of DGC exams, foundational knowledge and relevance to future careers. So foundational knowledge, it's what they're trying to say is it's not just about passing it once. The concepts which you'll be learning while sitting for these classes and eventually giving the exams are something which will be revisited even in your airline recruitment process. So it doesn't mean that you have your CPL and now the job is over. There are thousands others like you who will be having the CPL. Okay. After that, there's going to be a competition amongst all of you to get into those slots of 40 vacancies in a Indigo, or let's say 30 vacancies in an Air India, or 50 vacancies in an Akasa. It's going to take, it's going to be a competition all the time. So whatever you've learned here in the classes, that is going to be revisited and revised again when you prepare yourself for airline recruitment processes. Because all these companies, they also have their own in-house written examination. Then they have a psychometric exam. Then they have GD. They have personal interview. And some of them also have a simulator check. All right. So it is very important to understand the concepts instead of memorizing them. This is not it's not your school exam. Okay. So let's say if I ask anyone of you, do you really remember what did you learn back in class 9th and class 10th in your social studies subject? I'm sure most of you wouldn't even know what were the topics. Here in aviation, that's not the case. Whatever you're going to be learning in the classes, be it concepts, be it regulations, be it definitions, those are the things you will memorize and you will use them for the next 30 to 40 years. Okay, so it's important. What is the relevance to future career? Strong subject knowledge. It improves performance in pilot aptitude tests, interviews, and operation scenarios. So it's the same thing. Okay, this is quite straightforward study strategies, structured study schedule, utilize quality resources, official DGCA syllabus and guidelines, practice and revision, regularly keep solving the practice questions and sample papers. They're all available on Airship website. After this quick run through of the PDF, I am going to take you through a small tour of our Airship Aviation website as well, just to tell you how it is, how convenient it is for you to be sitting at your home without having to waste thousands of rupees coming to Ramphul Chowk or going to any other city, as long as you yourself are serious enough to study. All right. Professional guidance, join a ground school, access interactive audio visual lessons. And yeah, so that's basically your study strategy. Talking about medical assessments. So, like I said, there are two types of medical assessments, and both of them have to be done. It's not optional. Okay. The very first one that you start with is your class two. Okay. The second one is class one. Class two medical test, first step. What it involves, it's just a 1 day affair. Okay. And very basic elementary tests which are done, including your vision. They'll make you sit on a chair and ask you to read the alphabets or letters which are about six to, maybe around 4 to 5 meters laterally distant from you, so that they can see, are you okay to read those. And it is not mandatory to, I mean, it's specs that you should not be having specs. It's not mandatory in civil aviation. So anyone who's got specs and has got any kind of number is absolutely fine. There is no issue. Okay, a lot of people have this doubt as well, that I'm having cylindrical this thing vision. My number is so and so. Whatever number you have, there is no issue, as long as you keep wearing your shades, your specs, and you can, with your specs on, you can read the letters. And as long as you can do that, that's fine. Then your hearing. Hearing is, they'll make you wear a headset, and they'll keep giving you high frequency and reducing beeps in each of your ear alternatively, and you are supposed to raise your hand every time you hear it. So that's basically called audiometry. Okay, they're just checking what's your hearing reception strength. Then they'll have your blood test and general health checks. It's a 1 day affair. It is done by a DGCA-approved Class 2 medical examiner. Once you're done, it's the medical examiner. He will be, he'll be opening up and creating a file for you, and he'll upload all your documents on something called as EGCA, Echo Golf Charlie Alpha. EGCA is basically the E mode, the uh, internet mode of DGCA services. So DGCA website, if tomorrow you have to apply for a license, you have to renew, you have to apply for the renewal of a license, you have to change your house address, you have to change your passport details. For every small thing or the other, you have to log on to DGCA website. And one of the tabs on the DGCA website is for EGCA. Okay. So here, this DGCA approved class 2 medical examiner, after doing your class 2 medical, will upload all your documents on EGCA. Okay. I'll take you through what is EGCA as well. Process simplification, get tests done at the NABL certified lab. If you're getting it done from, let's say, a Dr. Lal Path lab or any other city X-ray or whatever, then that lab has to be NABL certified. Okay. Or you can also go to a hospital, but just ensure that the hospital is a NABH certified hospital. So wherever you go, it has to be a NABL if it's a lab, or a NABH if it's a hospital certified, and only those tests will be considered uh, acceptable. From any other place, if they are not NABL, NABH, it will be disregarded. Okay. Outcome: if all parameters are within normal limits, you receive a class 2 medical assessment, and a PMR, pilot medical report file number, is generated at this stage. Okay. So what happens here is, guys, when you become a pilot, or when you decide to be a pilot, you have to initially apply for two things. Okay, one is something called as computer number. Now, computer number is one. The second thing is what you see on your screen, which is PMR, pilot medical record. So your computer number is just like your, you know, what it's like your Aadhaar number. Okay. For as long as you're going to be in aviation for the next 30, 35, 40, 45 years, whatever, your computer number is not going to change. Similarly, the pilot medical record file number, the PMR file number, is also something similar to your Aadhaar number. This is also not going to change for the next 30 to 45 years. Now, where is computer number used and where is PMR file number used? So as you would have guessed it, PMR is like pilot medical record. Obviously, PMR file number is going to be used every time you go for your medicals. To begin with, you will do your class 2 and class 1. You only do class 2 once in your life. Once you've done class 2, and then subsequently after a few months, when you've done your class 1, after that you never do your class 2 medical again. Okay, your class 2 is actually a preliminary medical. You don't have to do it again. So your every year, what you'll be doing thereafter is basically your class 1 medical. And every time you go for medical, you will have to quote or write this file number, PMR file number, somewhere on the form that you're required to fill up. So this PMR file number is like your Aadhaar number. It is not going to change. It will not change. It will never change till your last day in aviation. That could be after 40 years. So that's your PMR file number. With the same logic, you have something called as computer number as well. Now, your computer number is also like an Aadhaar number, which doesn't change. The utility of computer number is towards your eligibility to sit for written examinations, okay, or even your Viva. So, starting your CPL journey, if you have to sit for your air navigation exam, regs, MET, technical general, or technical specific, whichever exam, it is going to ask you for your computer number. So, when you're going to be filling up the form, okay, on the Pariksha portal of DGCA, you will have to quote the computer number, without which you cannot fill up the form to sit for that exam. Now, how do you get your computer number? To get your computer number, again, on the DGCA website itself, there is a form available which you have to fill up. Along with, you will have to attach few required documents, which you can go and check on the DGCA website. As far as I remember, documents such as your class 10th and 12th mark sheet, your verification letter from the state board from which you cleared your schooling, your class 12th, your class 10th mark sheet to verify that what is the name which you had given, and your, your address proof and your identity proof. So once these things are in order, you have to apply it with DGCA, and after a few weeks, DGCA will grant you a computer number. Okay, so I hope that's clear.
Sir, can
Okay,
you
next is
repeat
class 1.
the requirements for computer number?
Yeah, the requirements for computer number, the precise requirements for computer number, I will repeat, but I will suggest that you please refer to DGCA website, okay, and search it on DGCA website in order to not make any mistake. The generic requirements for computer number are: they need your class 10th and 12th mark sheet and passing certificate. They need your board verification letter. So let's say if you have cleared your class 12th from a CBSE board or a ICSE or a state board, then your respective board needs to issue a verification letter that so and so candidate, let's say Airship Aviation Academy, was with a roll number so and so, attempted their class 12th in so and so year, and he was declared pass with an aggregate of so many percentage. So this sort of verification letter is issued by your state board. Then you need your address proof, your ID proof, a couple of photographs, and the application of computer number to be filled up. And then you have to send it through courier to DGCA. And also you can, I think there's a provision to apply it on EGCA as well. Okay. So you need to attach these documents, send it through courier, send it to DGCA, and after a few weeks, once after scrutinizing your documents, they will issue you a computer number.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
However, for final and correct chronology of all the documents required, irrespective, your final one-stop shop is going to be the DGCA official website. Okay. All
Okay,
right.
sir.
Then we have class 1 medical test. Eligibility. You can only do your class 1 medical after obtaining your class 2 medical assessment. All right. So your application of computer number and your class 2 medical, these two things can start simultaneously without wasting time. So let's say you finish your 12th. your results are announced sometime in May or June that you have cleared your 12th, you were eligible by having physics, maths, and English as your subjects in class 12th. Or for those who had commerce streams and art streams, they, let's say, have cleared physics, maths, and English, whichever subject they did not have in class 12th, later on through open school. Now, whenever you're eligible, after that, what you can do is you can first, and for the first and foremost thing is please go a walk-in. There's no appointment needed. Just simply walk into a class 2 approved examiner. How do you find a class 2 approved examiner? Again, like I said, for everything, please go to DGCA website, find it out. They have their approved list of class 2 examiners city-wise. So you go, refer, see the name, there are contacts, their email IDs and numbers are given, call them up, or you can just simply nowadays just type it on Google, class 2 approved medical examiners near me. You will see so many of them. Just simply walk into any one of them, simply tell them, sir, I've come here to do my class 2 medical exam. They know what to do. They know what tests to do. And you just simply need to carry your ID, maybe a couple of photographs, your ID, your Aadhaar, a pen, because he'll probably be asking you to fill up a particular form. Just fill up that form and just keep doing the tests, whatever he's asking you to do. By evening, he will give you a class 2 medical assessment and he'll open up a file. He will upload all these documents on DGCA portal, and you will be given your class 2 medical assessment. Once you have that medical assessment, then you will have to now go and take a date for class 1. That's what the statement means. Apply for class 1 medical only after obtaining your class 2 medical assessment. Okay? You can only apply and ask for a class 1 date if you have that class 2 medical assessment physically in your hand. Now, how do you apply for a date? Your class 1 medical, initial medicals, again, go and check the regulations on DGCA. You will have to apply for a date with a class 1 medical examiner, or you will have to go to the Air Force medical centers, primarily AFCME in Delhi, IAM in Bangalore, and the one is in Jorhat. Okay, but nowadays there are hospitals, there are doctors who can also do your class 1 initial medical. So again, what do? You just search on Google that class 1 approved medical doctors, practitioners. You'll see a list of them. Their numbers would be given. You call them up, you tell them your requirement, and they will tell you that, okay, I have a appointment available on so and so date. You confirm it to them, make yourself available on that day, and on that day itself, the class 1 medical doctor will actually conduct all the tests which are required for class 1 initial medical. Okay, so that's how you do your medical part. While you are, while you were doing your class 2 medical, around the same time, also apply for computer number, because your computer number is not dependent on your PMR class 2 medical, and your class 2 medical is not dependent on your computer number. These two are two independent things. Okay, so please don't get confused. If someone tomorrow tells you you can only do your class 2 medical after you have a computer number, there's nothing like that. Or you can only sit in your examination once you have cleared your class 2 medical, that is also not linked. Okay, these are two independent things. Don't confuse them. So this is something I want you all to be absolutely clear that you can start these two things in parallel. Okay, you need not wait. Why waste weeks or months clearing one thing and then going for the other thing? Okay, what is dependent on class 2 medical is actually your class 1 medical. You can't do class 1 without doing class 2. That's quite obvious. And what is dependent on computer number is you sitting for exams. If you want to sit for exams, you need to quote that, okay, boss, this is my computer number. Because computer number is like your Aadhaar number. It's going to stay same forever. And the only utility of computer number is to make you eligible to sit in exams. All right. So coming back, complexity, more comprehensive check to ensure you meet higher fitness standards required for commercial pilots. Yeah, I mean, class 1 medical is more complex than class 2. Class 2 medical is valid for 2 years. So what it means is the moment your class 2 medical is complete, please do not just sit at home doing nothing. It's important that you immediately start going around, look for class 1 medical centers on Google, on DGCA, speak to the doctors, send them emails, or physically visit their clinics or hospitals, take the appointment, okay, ASAP, and then complete your class 1 medical within this time frame. Class 1 medical must be renewed at regular intervals as per DGCA guidelines. Then minimum active time, medicals require roughly 72 hours of active involvement. So basically, what they're trying to say over here is class one, because class two medical is just a 1 day affair. However, your initial class one medical may take up to 3 days. Okay. On first day, they'll ask you to do a certain test. On second day, they'll ask you to come empty stomach and they'll make you wait for a few hours before particular test can be carried out. Then after a few hours, there'll be a read test. Then they'll ask you to have a bit of sugar and then give another sample. So it takes time. It takes about 3 days to do your initial class one. That's what they're trying to say over here. Parallel preparation, like I said, start your DGC exam preparation simultaneously since medical processes do not consume extensive study time. Like I said, okay, these two are independent. Have your medical preparations continue and simultaneously your issuance of computer number and your classes and then subsequently sit for exams. Keep doing both these things together. Flying training is for later. Flying training should be the last thing that you should do. Why? Because of the reason that I'd mentioned in the beginning. If you do your flying first and then you find out in your medical that something is wrong, then that money is gone. So do your flying for the in the end. If unfit, let's say the medical throws up a surprise and declares you unfit for whatever reason, that you have a DNS, a deviated nasal spectrum. What is a DNS? It's a normal thing, but in civil aviation, it's considered a bit tricky. It is basically if your nose bone is slightly twisted, okay, deviated nasal spectrum, or if you have color blindness, and there are like hundreds of these medical issues which can come up with anyone. So if you have any of these issues, your class one medical may just declare you. You may be declared unfit in your class one medical. If that is the case, then my dear friend, unfortunately, uh, being a pilot is not an option for you. Then you will have to consider other roles in aviation like ground operations, ATC, or the management, non-flying roles basically. What is a computer number? It's a permanent ID for exams. It is a unique identifier required to register for any DGCA written examination. So it could be your CPL exam today and tomorrow, many years down the line, when you are now working for an airline, when you go for your higher category of examination, let's say, which is your ATPL. If you have to go for your ATPL exams, you again need to quote the same computer number which was issued to you many, many years back. Why? Because it doesn't change. It's always gonna stay the same. Lifelong reference. Once issued, it remains valid through your pilot career, used for all subsequent exams and licensing transactions. Application process. Have your class 12 mark sheet certificates ready with physics, maths, English. Ensure all personal details, name, date of birth, etc. match official documents, passport, Aadhaar, etc. So quite generic documents which are needed. Like I said, accuracy is critical, which is very minor corrections. Let's say you've written your name as Abhishek and the SHEK, the second last letter in your name, Abhishek E. If that E doesn't appear to be an E, and instead of an E, it slightly appears to be an A, they will reject it. Okay, so be very careful with these clerical mistakes while filling up this form. When to apply? After receiving your class 12 results, you need final mark sheets to submit as proof of qualifying subjects. There is no need for medicals first. The computer number is independent of medical clearances. Apply as soon as academic prerequisites are met. So what they're trying to say over here is the moment you have your class 12th results announced and your mark sheet is available, you can literally apply for computer number the same evening. Okay, there are no prerequisites that you must have had done your class two medical. No, nothing like that. If right now it's 1 o'clock, if my class 12th result was announced at this time and I can download my mark sheet, let's say in the next 30 minutes, I can apply for my computer number at 5 o'clock in the evening. Okay. So do not waste time. I can apply for my computer number at 5 o'clock in the evening. I can take a class 2 medical appointment date tomorrow because these two things can go simultaneously. Sequence of initial steps. Start your DGC exam preparation. Okay. So what they're trying to say is you can start attending classes. To join classes at Airship or for that matter, anywhere else, you do not need to have your computer number. There is no ground school or ground school agency which is gonna ask you to quote your computer number. You all are attending this workshop right now without having any computer number because that's not needed. Okay, so what they're trying to say is, ki please join an academy, undergo class 2 medical, apply for DGCA computer number. Okay, why this order? It minimizes the downtime, ensures continuous progress, which it is. Medicals and computer number don't heavily interfere with study time because these are not time consuming processes. Computer number is what? You will just end up spending one evening or maybe the second evening in compiling all your documents and applying it. That's it. It doesn't take more than 2 days at the most. And same is for your class 2 medical. Maybe one day finding out where the doctor is or where the clinic is, and the second day you can just simply go and give your blood test and done. You're done. There's nothing else. Then you can just go back to your studies. So they don't really interfere with your study time. Contingency, if you're declared medically unfit, you would know before investing too deeply in flight training course. That's exactly what I told you. Having started exam prep early ensures you're not wasting time for results or documents. All right. Key decision factors, of course, all of you who have already made the decision to jump into this field, or for all those who see themselves as or are passionate about flying, please be known that it involves a lot of money. Okay, training abroad may be more costly. First of all, it involves a lot of money both in India and outside. It's the major chunk of money, about 80 to 90% of the money actually goes into doing your flying training. The remaining 10 to 15% of the money goes into your ground training, goes into your licensing requirements, and you're giving your written examinations and so on and so forth. So generally, there's a lot of question that where should we do our flying from? So this point actually is on that aspect. Training abroad may be more costly. It is more costly. It's not may, it is. So if you do your flying training from US or do you do your flying training from India, flying from US is going to be more costly, no doubt. It is going to be more costly upfront, but often finishes quicker. This is also true. So if you go to, let's say, US or Canada and do your flying training, the chances are you are going to finish your flying training most likely in more than 90% of the cases within an year, and be back before the 365th day is over from the time you went. Okay. You will be back in India within a time span of 1 year in all likelihood, unless there are some exigencies, or you know uh, I would say academically a particular candidate was a little too weak to clear his or her exams, or was a little too weak in getting the grasp of flying. Only in those exceptions, largely everyone ends up coming back within a year. And the same timeline for India is at least 1.5 years, and even touching 2 years is quite normal. So that is actually a difference. Okay, so flying in US is more costly, but you will end up coming back to India faster. In India, it's going to be a slight cheaper affair, but it's going to take at least 150% of your time, or maybe twice the time needed. So in the current scenario, when the vacancies, the jobs are opening up, the market is heating up with more than 470 aircraft orders placed by Air India, more than 500 aircraft orders placed by Indigo, and almost more than 100 aircraft order placed by Akasa. There are a lot of growth opportunities. So, at the end of the day, it's your call personally. However, my advice from Airship would be, at the cost of a few extra thousand rupees, extra few lakh rupees, it is still going to be a much better proposition if you go outside, finish your flying, and come back sooner. Okay. The sooner you're back in India, the more attempts you can make at uh, airline selection written examinations. The later you get ready, you would have already lost that opportunity. So that is, at the end of the day, like I said, that's eventually a very personal call. Whatever you feel, that's your call. Okay. So future planning, consider your long-term aviation goals, comfort with travel, and available budget. So navigation, meteorology, regulations, three subjects you have to clear if you do your flying from outside India. Apart from these three, technical general, technical specific, two more get added up if you do your flying India. Now, apart from these three or five subjects, there is one more license for which there is a sort of examination only. That license is called RTR. What you see on your screen, okay? Radio Telephony Restricted License. Now, this RTR license is actually issued by something called as WPC. All right. WPC is Wireless Planning and Commission. It's a department in the Ministry of Communications. So basically, what it means is any person in India who has to use a wireless set or has to contact or has to transmit or receive on a particular frequency cannot just do it. Okay, it is an activity which is done by a licensed person. So it's a licensed activity. So it's not that. I mean that's the reason. Can you just walk into a mall or any particular shop and buy a particular transmitter and a receiver and start, having your own chat shows or whatever on a particular frequency? You cannot do it. All right. So this is a licensed service. That is the reason because pilots are expected to use this equipment when they are in the aircrafts. It becomes mandatory by default that the pilots need to have this license. And as a result, because this license is not something which is issued by DGCA, it comes under Ministry of Communication under a department called WPC, Wireless and Planning Commission. So what is that license? That license is called RTR, Radio Telephony Restricted License. Why needed? Mandatory for communication with ATC and other services. Now here, again, there's a catch. If you are planning to do your flying from India, then you have no option but to clear an exam called Indian RT, Indian Radio Telephony Exam, which is a bit tough. However, it's not impossible. Thousands of people have Indian RT with them, including myself. It is not an impossible feat to do. And it's quite okay. And it is considered a very average and normal thing to not clear it in one or two go. It's absolutely fine. Majority of the people do not end up clearing it in the first attempt or second attempt, but then by the third attempt, most of them clear it. Okay, so there are multiple classes which are being conducted for RTR examination. So that is one. So if you're doing a flying in India, you have to clear Indian RT. However, but if you were doing a flying outside, let's say, for example, in US, what you can do is once you have your USA CPL, which is called FAA CPL, once you have your FAA CPL, you can very easily get it converted to a Canadian CPL. Okay. Now, why do you have to convert it to Canadian CPL? Because Canada is considered a Commonwealth country. All right. And if you have a Commonwealth country's CPL, then so how the process works is you have your FAA CPL because you went to USA to do your flying. If you had gone to Canada to do your flying, then you already have a Canadian CPL. So once you have your Canadian CPL, as Canada is a Commonwealth country, this can simplify certain DGCA requirements, potentially bypassing RT exams in India. So what happens is if you have a Canadian CPL, you can get a Canadian RT associated with it quite easily while you are still in Canada. Now, when you come back to India with that Canadian CPL and Canadian RT, now that you're back in India, because Canada is a Commonwealth country, India has given some exemptions. Okay. Because Canada is a Commonwealth country, now you don't have to give any exam in India, and your Canadian RT will simply be converted into Indian RT. The only difference over here is this conversion to Indian RT is not lifelong. It is going to be for a set period of years. I guess it's 5 years or 20 years, something like that. So after every 5 years, you will have to go back to Canada, renew your Canadian RT, come back to India, and then again get it converted. Okay, so it's a 5 yearly headache. It's not a daily headache. It's like once in 5 years, you'll have to go there, come back, and then renew it again. That is the only difference. If you have an Indian RT altogether, then your Indian RT is valid till your lifetime. Okay, so like my Indian RT is valid until 2075. I'm gonna retire much before that, but it's valid until 2075. So I don't have to worry about my RT exam ever in my life again. So that is the benefit if you clear Indian RT. However, if you're not able to clear it, there is no problem. There is other way of getting your Indian RT as well. So now once you're done your flying outside and you come back to India, because you've done all your flying outside, there the DGCA flight inspectors need to check your competency level in India as well. How do they do it? They do it by conducting your GFT, General Flying Test. There is one GFT which is conducted by day. There is one GFT which is conducted by night. Okay. So here, that's what we're talking about. GFT day and night flights required after you return with a foreign license or complete Indian training, it involves what? About 8 to 10 hours of check rides with a DGCA representative or approved instructor. What is the intention? To simply validate your flying proficiency. Whatever you learned outside, they're only trying to see have you learned whatever was supposed to be learned. So it's just like a check. Okay, they'll be sitting with you. They'll ask you to, do a steep bank or do a stall or do a particular maneuver in the aircraft or go and show them a particular landing or do a particular type of a takeoff. They'll just keep telling you, okay, please show me this, and you have to demonstrate it. So it's a check going on.
Is it like a conversion that we do?
Yes. I mean, conversion as in when you do your flying outside, once you come back, you don't have to fly again in India to convert your license. Okay. You only
Okay.
have to give the written examination if you had not given in India before you went for your flying. After coming back, you have to still give the exams in India. But as far as the flying part is concerned, there is no conversion flying which is required. It's only a GFT which is a mandate. You have to give a GFT. GFT, simple terms, means an exam. It's a flying
Okay.
exam conducted by an Indian instructor to simply check whatever you have learned when you are outside. That's all.
Okay.
The real
So
life problem with
this.
this is there is no fixed place or flying school that you are already aware of by default. It's not like that, let's say you're sitting in Vancouver doing your flying, thinking that, okay, boss, I'm in December 2024. Last week of January 2025, I'm flying back to India. So what I'll do is after reaching India, first week of February, I'll go to Gondia and I'll do my flying. It doesn't work that way. Gondia can do your flying. Mehsana in Gujarat can do your flying. Some other flying school across the length and breadth of our country, they can do your flying. The problem is getting a slot. Okay. So real
Okay.
life issues are once a person is back, he or she ends up waiting for few weeks or even months. And that is something which is happening with everyone. And you can't really deal with it. Okay, because you'll have to call up. You'll be calling up 10 to 20 different flying schools. Let's say one in Odisha, one in Andhra, one in Madhya Pradesh, one in UP, one in Patiala. You'll try and gauge whoever is willing to accept you for the conduct of your GFT at a shorter date. Odisha guy may say, okay, I only have flying slots available in October 2025. Then you'll be like, hey, buddy, 10 months later, yeah, what am I going to do for 10 months? That's too far away. Then let's say Amravati in Maharashtra may tell you, okay, I've got available in June 2025. Then suddenly Patiala in Punjab will tell you, okay, you can walk up to me in March 29th. I can book you on March 29th. So you have to call up different flying schools. You have to check for the availability of a flight instructor. Do they have a flight instructor? Is the instructor going to be available to conduct your GFT test? So it's a challenge which is for everyone. So this is for you to know that please do expect this challenge in your case also. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So once your flight training is done, then please submit all the documents to DGCA. What are the documents? Proof of you having passed DGCA exams. So what is the proof? The moment exams are conducted after a few weeks, you have your guys, just give me hello. Yeah, guys, sorry. Okay, so yeah, so once you attempt an examination and after a few weeks you will have the results which are also displayed on DGCA's website. Okay, so once you go there, you type in your computer number and you will see the result against your computer number. So if you have cleared it, you're expected to take a printout of those result sheets. Okay, so that is going to be the proof of past GGC exams. Your medical certificates, again, you will be given a piece of paper as a proof that you did your class 2 assessment and you were declared fit. And same is the case that you will be given a document even for your class 1 examination, uh, medical examination with a declared fit certification. RTR license, it's like a license, it's like a booklet. In the previous times, it used to be a booklet. Now it's actually a piece of paper, RTR. Okay. And then your flight training logs, which is something called as logbook. You keep entering that this was the day, this is where you departed from, this is where you went, this is the aircraft registration you flew, and these are the hours these are the hours for long you flew that day. So there is a particular logbook which you have to fill up while you're doing your flying training. So you have to submit all these documents, and then DGCA will scrutinize them and issue you your CPL. All right. Once you have the CPL, then only you have to again keep fighting for your slot in the airlines. Okay, then you have to apply for airline jobs and progress to airline cockpit roles. All right. So beyond the CPL, continuous skill development, yeah. Apart from this, airline recruitment preparation, study for airline entrance tests, simulator assessments, interviews at Airship. We do all these things. We have been running multiple batches. We have more than 95% success rates. We have our social media presence on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Instagram, we have the candidates previously who have made the cut into Indigo and Air India. You can go and see their testimonies, their testimonials regarding how was their experience with Airship. Keep knowledge fresh, support and mentorship, guidance from experts. I am one of them myself. We have many others who are associated with us, very richly experienced CPL instructors. We have another instructors who are flying on Boeing 737s, A320s, and even wide body aircrafts associated with us. Okay. So conclusion, that brings us to the end. So like I said, examinations. So step-by-step matters, follow the correct order. So here, exams. Exam means please enroll yourself in a ground school. Here, I can speak on behalf of Airship. And with us, you need not fly down to Delhi or to any other place. You can be in Kerala, you can be at your home, you can be in Tamil Nadu, wherever you are. Just simply log in and be with us. We have online classes, we have online content which gets recorded on a website. You can just come back, review it anytime at your convenience. All right, then you simultaneously start your medicals with the class 2 and computer number. Once you have your exams cleared, okay, only after you have passed your class 2, class 1 medical and you have cleared your exams is when Airship recommends you should go for your flight training, but not before that. Okay, then once you are done with the flight training, then you clear RTR and apply for CPL. Don't be overwhelmed. It must have sounded like a bit too much, but it actually is not. As long as a particular flow is maintained or followed, it's not much. Your future in aviation with the right information, consistent effort, and proper training, you can reach the airline cockpit. A CPL is a major, major milestone. Keep building on it until you land that dream airline job. All right. So yeah, so that brings us to the end of this PDF over here. This is our contact information. Maybe you guys can take a snapshot of it. You can reach out to us on this number, and our team is in real time. We will be getting back to you, and whatever query that you may have with respect to Airship, we are more than happy to clarify it for you. All right. Now, before I throw it open to you guys to ask questions.